Day just passed. I have some questions for you about that.
All right.
Just as a non-veteran, but someone who supports the military, like you see all these different things, you know, on Facebook or whatever. Happy Veterans Day.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. I mean, nothing wrong with that, right?
No, that's great.
Yeah. Happy Veterans Day.
Yeah.
I mean, what does the day mean? You know, what does Veterans Day mean to a veteran?
You know, first of all, there's a common misconception. People confuse oftentimes Veterans Day with Memorial Day. You know, Memorial Day is there to remember those who are no longer with us, whereas Veterans Day is for all veterans, living or dead. And so sometimes you'll see people for Veterans Day, they'll post some picture of like Arlington National Cemetery or something like that, and it's like, that's more appropriate for like Memorial Day. Veterans Day is just thank you for your service, and you know, just for going into harm's way, or you know, keep in mind, most veterans don't go into harm's way in reality, but they serve their country and with the Department of Defense, and they're away from their families, long days, they don't get weekends off, you know, especially if they're underway and things like that. So it's just a thank you for your service, and that's what Veterans Day is. And you know, it's enjoy the. I mean, it's on the balance. It's enjoy the time, enjoy the freedoms paid for by the sacrifices made by those men and women in uniform.
Yeah, up to and including death for some people.
Sure.
But Veterans Day is the whole enchilada, whereas Memorial Day is just recognizing those who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think
that's what it is to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm no historian, but that's what it is to me as a veteran, just a guy who served. You know.
Okay.
So,
well, that's what I wanted to know, because you know, I think that it's important for people to understand, especially people like myself who want to support, but we don't want to sound like bozos, you know.
I think that's a great day to say thank you for your service.
Okay, say thank you to your service to everyone who served.
Absolutely.
Okay, tremendous. Now you are the best damn VA lender in the country.
Thank you.
as I have quoted many times, and a lot of that has to do with technical knowledge, right? Loan knowledge and technical knowledge, but a lot of it has to do with passion.
Right.
And to see the passion of, you know, how early you get up in the morning, how hard you work for people, the level of service that you just simply will not sacrifice for anything that you want to provide to your fellow veterans. And so we're going to dive into that. Now you have a seminar tomorrow for real estate agents.
That's right.
If they want to learn more about the VA loan, which is really important. So tell us why that's so important.
Yeah, so I would just say this about the VA seminar that I do, and it's something I say like at the opening of the event. I don't charge people for being there. And I kind of struggle with that a little bit, because sometimes people don't value what they don't pay for.
Yeah.
But I do it from my heart to give, because I know that there are so many agents in our community who work with veterans, or who will eventually come in contact with a veteran who wants to buy or sell a home. And especially if they're buying, they're going to want to use their VA loan benefit. And so this seminar it's a lunch and learn type of kind of a setting. We bring in food and drinks, and we just kind of, I walk them through what agents need to know when representing a veteran in a VA loan transaction. And it's not to turn them into, you know, technical experts as if they were a loan officer, but to understand the nuances while doing a real estate transaction. So why do I do it? Well, first and foremost, again, like I said, is these agents are going to be working with veterans, and I just want to make sure that veterans get the best possible service. There are so many misconceptions out there about the VA loan, people who have these ideas that are just wrong, apprehensions to accepting a VA offer because they just don't understand the program. Or the last scenario that they were involved with involved a lender who didn't do a lot of VA loans, like maybe did one last year, and they botched the deal, and then they blamed the VA, and they said, well, that's a VA loan, and now next time that seller or that listing agent is apprehensive to accepting that veteran's offer, and that's the stuff I want to cut through. I want to help agents understand the program so that ultimately our veterans get the best chance at that dream of home ownership.
How often would you say, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot with this, but how often would you say that for a veteran, the VA loan is going to be the best financing option for them? 9
out of 10 times. There are cases, you know, without getting too technical, like right now, where just because you're a veteran, you know, look, if you have 20–25% down and you've got sterling credit, then a conventional loan is going to be more appropriate. Most likely. I mean, you just put the numbers side by side. But if you're putting less than 20% down and you've got mortgage insurance, if you've got some credit blemishes, where on a conventional loan, Fannie Mae has what's called loan level pricing adjustments. So the less you put down and then the lower your credit score, the higher your interest rate. So if you've got some credit blemishes and you don't have 20% down, you're going to end up with a much higher interest rate and mortgage insurance. Whereas on a VA loan, it's a lot more forgiving to credit blemishes, and there's no hit or for putting zero down. I mean, that's kind of the main point of the VA loan is zero down, and you just get a much better deal on the interest rate.
And no mortgage insurance, too.
No mortgage insurance,
which
right.
is huge, because mortgage insurance is a massive payment that is
That's
not
right.
tax deductible. And that's, to me, 100% down is fantastic, and I think that's great, but the no mortgage insurance is a huge selling point.
So look, I would just say, I'm not a CPA, so contact your CPA, but mortgage insurance is tax deductible.
Is it?
Yeah, but it's something that was, years ago when I first got into the business, mortgage insurance was not tax deductible.
That's back in my days.
Yeah, back in your days.
I'm still carrying
And then I
through.
believe it was the Economic Relief Act of 2008 or something, signed by then George W. Bush, that made mortgage insurance tax deductible, but only for a certain period of time, and then it was set to expire. And then every year as it was set to expire, Congress has renewed it again for one more year. So we're in this one more year, one more year, one more year. But you need to know that while mortgage insurance is tax deductible right now, it does phase out based on your income level, and it is kind of on the chopping block right now, right? You probably heard that there's a lot of tax reform stuff going on. So talk to a CPA to get proper tax advice.
Good disclosure, Andrew.
Yeah, right. But you'll find that mortgage insurance is currently tax deductible. Yeah.
So now the other thing is that I would there's a decent argument for if you are, even if you do have 20 or 25% down, to use that money to buy an investment property and still use your VA loan benefit for your home, for your primary residence, or use it to invest in something. So there are, even in those situations, even if you have that, sometimes you look at the whole picture and go, well, gosh, maybe we could deploy those assets, instead of just putting it down on the home, we could do something with it over here. That's also an option. So something that people can do and veterans can do, certainly. So the seminar for realtors is tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll post a link below in the comment thread for that if you want to register. And then you also have one next month.
Yeah, December 12th.
Well. December 12th.
We'd love to see you tomorrow. If you can't make it tomorrow, join us next month. Yeah,
awesome.
We do them every month.
Fantastic. Now, some of those misconceptions that you were talking about, I think qualifications is something that I think we can speak directly to veterans who have maybe feel like they've been left out of the opportunity to own a home in San Diego. Prices went up so quickly.
Yep.
I don't think I can qualify. How do you qualify? Like, what's the first step? If I'm active duty or I'm a veteran, what's the first thing I do?
Yeah, so there's two things. First of all, how much you qualify for comes down to what's referred to as DTI, or debt to income ratio. Whether you qualify has to do with, did you serve in the country, or are you on active duty? Are you eligible for a VA loan? Do you meet minimum credit guidelines? For example, if you had a bankruptcy in the last 2 years, you're not eligible for a VA loan. That's a VA guideline. So that's qualifications, like do you qualify for the program? Then how much you qualify for comes down to debt to income ratio, which is really just saying how much do you make versus what are your expenses. So if you want to qualify to buy more house, then you want to keep your debts to a minimum. So work on paying down credit cards, don't rack up debt that you don't need, and things like that. Drive a car that makes sense for your income level. I mean, if you've got a $900 a month BMW lease, you may be driving your home right now. You know what I mean? You don't qualify for the house you want because you're in a really expensive car payment. And if you really want to be a homeowner, you might need to trade that. You might need to find a more affordable car payment.
And so let's say, if I'm a veteran, the first step, how do I even know if I'm eligible? Maybe I'm not a veteran and I could still be eligible, right? There's a lot of nuances to the eligibility if you're a spouse or surviving spouse. Or
yeah, so the lion's share of it is you have to be a veteran. And so then active duty service member with 90 days or more of active duty service, a reservist with 6 years of good service. So if you're a reservist and you're listening to this, it's 6 good years, okay? But again, active duty with 90 days of service. So if you're a reservist and you've been mobilized, you've been called up to active duty and you've been on active duty orders for more than 90 days, you'll be eligible for VA loan as well. And then kind of one of those caveats there is the surviving spouse of an active duty service member who died in service or from a service-connected disability. So it's not just like any spouse. So I'm a veteran and I'm no longer on active duty. I'm a reservist, but if I'm driving home from work today and I get in a car accident and die, my wife would not be eligible for my VA loan benefit.
Gotcha.
Okay, but I'm service connected, and so if I died and they were like, oh, well, you died, and you died from that disease or that ailment that was due to service. It was a service. I died from a service-connected disability that my wife would be. And all that is adjudicated by the VA. So when someone comes to me, and I've got someone I'm working with right now on that, so, you know, my husband just passed away. It's not my job. It's not even in my, like, I don't have the authority to make that decision, right? It's come to me, I'll help facilitate it, but ultimately we have to present that case to the VA, and the VA makes that determination as to whether that surviving spouse is eligible for those veterans' benefits.
And you can sort of begin that whole process on your website, umlin.com.
Yep.
You have the eligibility search there.
That's right.
Where you actually go and do that work for them and help people figure it out.
That's right.
Which is really cool, because a lot of people don't know where to start, and they don't know if they're eligible or not, or they don't realize that it is for what it is. They think they may have to be in for so many years or whatever it may be, and that's all not correct. So it's great to be able to get that. Now, real quick, on both sides of the actual loan itself, the VA loan. So there's, you know, obviously purchasing a home, and there's refinancing a home.
Yep.
On the home purchase, there are a lot of the things we've been talking about: no money down, no mortgage insurance, and stuff like that. What about the refinance side of things? Are there still benefits to that too?
Absolutely. So once you have a VA loan, you can do what's called an interest rate reduction refinance loan, or a VA IRRL. And there's no qualification for it. There's no appraisal required. The only requirement is that we lower your interest rate, or if you're in an adjustable mortgage, that we take you to a fixed mortgage, 30-year fixed mortgage. So it's a great benefit of the VA loan. So if you're already a homeowner and you have a VA loan, and you can do a VA IRRL, an interest rate reduction refinance loan. The word of caution I would give you is, if you're a veteran and you're listening to this, I'm a veteran and I get my mailbox stuffed with baloney flyers every single day, promising me the moon. And just realize that there's nothing free in this world. Anytime you do a refinance, there's a cost. And anytime you do a refinance, we have to weigh out how much are you going to save versus how much is it going to cost. And we look at basically a break even. And that break even has to make sense. VA is looking very closely at this. There's a lot of unscrupulous lenders out there who are just churning these VA loans over and over and over again. They drop veterans' interest rates 1/8 of a point, saving them $22 a month, and it costs $10,000. Like, how is that in the best interest of the veteran? So just be careful of that stuff. A lot of the flyers I know that I get in the mail, so if you're a veteran, I know with the flyers, read the fine print. It's for an adjustable mortgage. So they're advertising some 2.5% interest rate. Does it sound too good to be true? Probably is. So just be cautious. And whether you want to use us as a lender or not, I'm happy to be a resource. Just, you know, send me a picture of the flyer. I'll tell you whether it's legit or not.
Yeah, most likely, if it sounds too good to be true,
it is.
It probably is. Or hey, it might be true with all the fine print that, hey, this is an adjustable rate. Do you really want to lock in an adjustable rate when rates are historic lows?
This is the worst part about those adjustable flyers that I know that I get in the mail. It'll say 30-year mortgage, fixed. Okay, it's a 5/1 arm, and so it's fixed for 5 years. It's not 30-year fixed, it's a 30-year mortgage. See, they're combining terms, right? It's a 30-year mortgage, so it's amortized over 30 years, and the loan is fixed for 5 years. You know, and so, you know, an unsuspecting consumer sees fixed 30-year mortgage, like on the flyer, and they assume that it means a 30-year fixed, and it's not. So it's just really,
these are probably like call center type places that are
terrible, man.
Somewhere else, they're not local. You know, you can't go there and talk to someone, and they're basically just trying to sell you on something, essentially.
Yeah, and look, if you want an adjustable mortgage, then maybe it's fine, but just make sure you know what you're getting.
Yeah, maybe you know you'll have the property less than 5 years and it makes sense for you.
Right.
There's a place for the product. The product
Absolutely.
is not bad.
Right.
It's the application that's
It's representing it as a 30-year fixed mortgage when it's really an adjustable mortgage.
Yeah. That's uncool. What else should, you know, people who might qualify for a VA loan know about it that might be a big misconception in their minds?
Man, big misconceptions that I see are people think that they can't use their VA loan again, or more commonly, people think that that it's expired. So like maybe they served, they were in Vietnam or sometime in the 70s, and they know that this thing was sort of available, and they just go, well, but I think my VA loan has expired. It never expires. It's a benefit. You've earned it for your service. So the VA loan benefit, it never expires. And then some people will say, well, I used it already. I bought a house back in the 80s and I sold it. so I don't have it anymore. That's not true. You can use your VA loan over and over again. So those are the two big misconceptions that I see.
So if I buy a house with my VA loan, let's say, and do I need to sell that house to then use it again, or what if it turns into a rental property?
Yeah, great question. The short answer is, for the most part, yes. Technically, you can have more than one VA loan at a time. That's another misconception, but there are some nuances, some nitty-gritty details. So the way the VA loan really works is that the VA insures the loan that you get, and so you have a certain amount of insurance. And once all that insurance is used up, then you can't really have another VA loan. Okay, so what happens is if you bought this house over here, you know, this is how much insurance you have, and you use this much of your insurance up to insure that house, the loan that's on that house. You only have this much insurance left over now. And so you have some, you could actually still get a VA loan on this second house that you want to buy, but you won't have full insurance on that, so you actually have to then bring in a minimum down payment. These get into some nitty-gritty details that I'm happy to look on a case-by-case basis. So look, if you just, I mean, the big picture is you actually can have more than one VA loan at a time.
It's possible.
Absolutely, and we do it all the time, by the way. Where I see it most applicable is when the first house that somebody bought is in a lower cost area, say Pensacola, Florida, you know, where maybe the guy was there as a pilot, bought a home there for like $100,000 or something like that, only used a little bit of their VA insurance. Now they've got orders here to San Diego where they're going to buy a $500,000 home, and they still got a lot of insurance left over because they come to a high-cost county like San Diego. That's usually where you see you can have more than one VA loan at a time.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and that happens a lot because
it does happen a lot.
People in the military move around a lot.
Yep.
I mean, that's very common, and a lot of this is probably the most expensive area where there is a lot of military, a big military presence, right, in the country at least. And most of the areas are like, you know, Virginia or Florida, or even where I'm from in Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood, where you can buy a house for $100,000.
Yeah.
You cannot buy a house here in San Diego for $100,000.
There's nothing for $100,000. There's nothing.
It doesn't exist.
There is nothing for 100.
Plain and simple. Although I remember the crash.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In the crash, they were selling studios over there by Qualcomm for $99,000.
Wow.
$99,000. There were studios over there, and there were
now they're $900,000.
Now
so, should have bought a few.
Now they're like $399.
Yeah.
Wow. No, but yeah, they were like, you know, they were like 450 square feet places, but they were $99,000. I remember seeing that and going, gosh,
man,
so many opportunities everywhere, and prices have been up for a while. And I think there's been a lot of, at least from the people that I know, there's been a lot of veterans who have just gotten kind of fed up, you know, with the home search process in San Diego. Not all of them. Many people are still getting things done.
Yeah, I've got tons of veterans who are successfully writing and not getting offers accepted all the time.
And that's why I thought it'd be great to have you come on and talk about this, because it does matter who you work with. It does matter the level of commitment that they have to helping you achieve your goals. It does matter how much passion they have about what they're doing, and it does matter how much respect they have in the community. As I'm sure you experience when you write, you know, offers and agents see it who know you or who've been to your seminar and they go, this guy knows what he's doing. He would not be writing this, you know, this pre-approval letter unless it was an approved deal and it was good to go. And that makes a difference. So I think for any veteran who's been, you know, discouraged by the marketplace, especially on the lending side, I think giving you a call would be a really good idea. And
give me a call, and it's also extremely important that you work with a real estate agent who understands how to properly represent you in the marketplace. If they're not proactively reaching out to that listing agent and explaining the strengths of your offer, handling those objections or those concerns that, again, that seller or that listing agent may be apprehensive because they haven't dealt with a VA loan in a while, and so they're just like, ooh, I don't know about that, so we're just going to put that one to the side. You need somebody like me or your agent who understands and knows that VA loan program so well and is going to call and is going to advocate on your behalf and explain to that seller and that listing agent why you're extremely well qualified. We can close quickly and on time. We communicate. We know what we're doing. And, you know, it doesn't guarantee you're going to get your offer accepted, but it certainly increases your probability of getting an offer accepted.
No question. Andrew Paul, thank you so much for coming in today,
bro.
man.
Thanks.
Great to see you, my friend.
Right.
So if, you know, Veterans Day just passed, you want to serve veterans, you can serve them in your profession better, especially if you're in real estate. You can go to Andrew's seminar, learn exactly how you can best serve veterans. I think that'd be a great, hey, happy Veterans Day is great, but that would also be an additional touch that I think would be really helpful to the veteran community. Thanks for tuning in.